Hello and welcome to everybody. You see this little tiny thing here? That's a complete Bitcoin mining hardware solution. It's from the company named Canaan, and it's called a Nano 3S, which represent 6 terahash. So this little tiny thing can be the whole Bitcoin network. Now it represents 0.0000005% of the whole computing power of the Bitcoin network. Yeah? And especially there are hundreds of different types of such Bitcoin mining hardware. As you can see me here holding the big industrialized mining machines, mainly from Bitmain, which is the market leader. Around 80% of every Bitcoin mining hardware sold in the world comes from Bitmain, from China. And I just want to talk about today proof of work and decentralization, unbeatable duo. And I want to tell you something about Bitcoin mining, what has to do with this small, tiny, and also the big industrial miners, and what kind of decentralization is there in this market, and some outlook and opinion. And 15 years ago, I think, approximately, I was sitting in this seat as a member of the Raiffeisen Landesbank Burgenland, so I'm a former banker, yeah? But I changed a little bit my profession into this orange network. I changed from the Valutatag, as I said before, to the Valuta Sekunde. Yeah? And I'm still excited about this orange network, and I just want to tell you some very interesting insights, special from the mining branch, maybe you do not know. I'm also the CEO of Rette Dein, which is a finance block, which was created 2020, and now I'm helping people for transforming their energy into Bitcoin. Yeah? And as I see, the proof of work, this is something you can do with your energy to promote or to give the freedom, and they are deeply connected. So what can we do with the mining? The one thing is every miner needs electricity, energy, yeah? And he needs internet access. If you have these both and the mining hardware, yeah, you can participate on the Bitcoin network. And the one thing is, if there are millions and millions and millions of such miners all around the globe, yeah, we have a decentralized network which is really, really, really strong. Yeah? And the thing is, every miner is running with energy. You need energy. And the one thing you can't fake is energy. Yeah? And that's why, in my opinion, the Bitcoin network is so strong, because there are millions and millions of members and in whole different locations, and I want to tell you something about these locations. And of course, there's a whole industry which is around that branch, or in that branch, like the Bitcoin group, which is representing about 85,000 miners running for the customers in almost more than 18 different locations worldwide. And not even the Bitcoin group, there are also the large mining groups, for example, in the United States, as I named, for example, Mara, the company who is also on the stock exchange. So mining is coming more and more popular because, yes, there's also an economical chance to make profit with that. Yeah? And the profit depends how many miners are attempting at the network. And one thing is, when I said this is 6 terahash, yeah, if you combine every terahash from every miner worldwide, yeah, you can see it in that hash rate, which is 1.02 zeta hash. So much, much, much more than the terahash. And if you divide it, so you can guess how many units of miners are around the globe. And I'm guessing for the industry miner, yeah, there are around 12 to 15 million miners worldwide. So The one who is maybe at home or in your company, yeah? And the one on the left-hand side is a picture of a client of me from Austria, from a hydropower station, yeah? Which is very, very good for mining because they have energy source 24/7. Yeah? But you can also do mining also with your solar energy. If the sun is shining, you can bring in your, for example, surplus energy into that network, and you will be rewarded for that. We're talking about the rewards. We're talking about also for the Bitcoin price. So let me show you a number. When the Bitcoin price is now a little bit down, yeah, but you will still earn with the smaller industrial miners around 9 euro cent per kilowatt hour for your mining. And it goes up until 20 with the really big machines. And even one miner is running worldwide. Yeah? The network is open and free for access, because if I'm sending 1 euro in Satoshi to you, any computing power, they have to you're sending a Bitcoin from one wallet to the other wallet, okay? So that's no problem. You can do that 24/7, yeah? But you have to, somebody has to deduct the Satoshis from my wallet and add it to the other wallet. In that time, yeah, without doing any banks or any humans behind it, it's just the code. Yeah? And this is why so many power is needed, so that at least one single unit can do these transactions. And for this work, they will be rewarded. Actually, for 10 minutes work, 3.125 Bitcoin and the transaction fees. And you can do that as a single person and also as a pool. So with with million other miners together, but then you have to share your profit. Yeah? And if you're talking decentralization, you can see the global hash rate heat map, and the United States is the #1 country. Almost 40% of the hash power comes from this country, and then also, of course, countries with low energy prices, with really, really low industrial energy prices, which is Russia, China, Kazakhstan, also Norway, or also Paraguay, where they have huge hydropower stations, also Ethiopia, for example, because there is so much surplus energy they can use. And if you're talking about surplus energy, I have to talk also about Texas. Everybody knows about Texas, the oil country, the cowboy country, the steak country, but Texas is transforming silently behind the walls from an oil country with the renewable energy sources into a clean country. And the Bitcoin mining branch is helping to transform these energy strategy. And they are building much more and more. They have the place, and they are building millions and millions, 400 megawatt, and. So one mining facility after the other is in Texas opened that days. Also from the big mining companies, for example, Mara. And when I say one single miner is enough, my goal is to help also put this topic as Bitcoin home mining to you in your home. So not the industrial standard, but let me say your home standard, with silent, and you can use also the heat from these units. So I see the whole value chain of Bitcoin mining starts from what kind of energy sources we use. Where does the energy come from? What price? What kind of hardware do I use? Do I use used mining hardware or just buy new mining hardware from China, for example? And what can I do with the heat? And if you compare these three very important points, you can make really, really good things out of that. And this is one very good thing I saw this year in Las Vegas, where the biggest Bitcoin and mining conference take place. I was there. And you can see here experiment from Bitmain, who have the heat pump. And on the right-hand side, N-track, there are hydropower miners in there. And they have hot water behind there, at least at 70 degrees. So this is also a thing where you can use your heat to make hot water especially for the industrial or also for the privates. And if you're talking about decentralization, it's not even important where such miners are, it's also where the transaction is stored. It's in the node. And the nodes are covered all around the world, as you can see here on the map. If you're talking about the Bitcoin blockchain, well, that's a tiny thing. I think at least 850 gigabyte now big, so just put it in here in this small micro SD card. The story of Bitcoin mining is also a story about taking chances, use opportunities. And one of the greatest stories I've heard the last 2 years is the story of Bhutan. Bhutan, I don't know if you're familiar with, is a kingdom, and they have 2 neighbors, China and the Republic of India. And the king of Bhutan, His Majesty, Mr. Wangchuk, they decide, okay, let's do something. And Austria has an important impact on Bhutan, because in the 1970s and 1980s, we developed aid and money to Bhutan to help them to create their hydropower stations there. So they are using now energy from the hydropower station. And the king said, okay, let's do 3 important steps. Step 1 is we use this energy to provide cheap energy to our people and our companies. That's the first step. If there is any surplus energy left after step 1, we go to step 2. What is step 2? Step 2 is we sell our surplus energy to our neighbors, to China and the Republic of India. And when there is any surplus left, we go to step 3. Step 3 is Bitcoin mining. And they told nobody. They're doing Bitcoin mining since several years, and guess what? They have collected 12,000 Bitcoins now, which is representing about 1/3 of their GDP. So they have really, really big and good things in their stocks. Yeah? And that is really a success story. And if you're taking a look here in the middle of Europe, or especially in Austria, we have so many surplus energy. Why don't we use that in Bitcoin mining? Because every miner you get online, you support the proof of work concept, you support the security of the network, you support decentralization, and of course you support freedom. You can do that in a small way, like I do at home with the Bitcoin heater, with my solar panels and so on. Yeah? And you can do that in the industrial way, like on the left picture you can see one of my customer, 6 to 10 units. If you're a company, you can do that very, very easily, because these, not the small ones, but also the other ones, 10 to 15 kilogram, it's very easy to you have to so first of all, you have to know what to do in mining, so you can make some mistakes, but you can do that in an industrial way or in a home styling way. So there is no problem. And of course, you can ask. Such experts like me. You can follow me also on LinkedIn, which is my preferred channel, or on X. And I will be here at the conference today. You can just call me. Let's drink a coffee together and just talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias.